Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to 10 Minutes with Ian McCaig. I apologize for my absence. I was really busy working, and then I hit a snag with my computer, and so for the last 3 weeks, I was working a lot, and then also trying to get everything settled down. But I got everything fixed. It's all good to go. So let's get back to things. So I thought what I would do, at least to start the week off, is I had wanted to do a video on Ian McCaig for a long time. I'm a huge fan of his work, have been for a long time. I actually do consider him a big influence on me, although it's years ago. But definitely when I was first learning to draw, Ian was someone that I was like, this dude is a very, very good role model. So this is a Frankenstein piece that he did. Ian's probably most famous for the work that he did on the Star Wars movies. If you've ever seen any of the Art of Star Wars books, his stuff just screams off the pages. And even with all the incredible talent that's in those books, he just is like he just stands out. There's no other really way to put it. Is you could see a page of like sketches of characters. This is the other side of the piece. And Yeah, just his drawings always have a little bit more energy. They have a little bit more character. They have a little bit more storytelling to them. They're just he's just got that little extra scoop of magic that just makes his work incredible. And You can really see it. This is a drawing that he did. This was a gift for someone, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been for like Vanity Fair magazine. It's funny though, but he kind of did it in like a little bit of a Jack Davis, Mort Drucker kind of style. Pretty cool. Like he doesn't draw a lot of stuff in this style, but I actually thought it was pretty good. Maybe it was a gift for Steven Spielberg. I can't remember what the scenario was on this. So these are some pieces from the Star Wars Art of Star Wars books. These are all from Ian's book Shadowline, though, to be clear. So he just re-released the book, or is about to re-release the book with some extra pages. But yeah, he has a hardcover book called Shadowline, which is kind of like the art of Ian McCaig, but it actually does have like a story to it too. It's interesting. He introduces it is almost like a fantasy story, and that you're traveling through his mind. It's pretty weird, but also pretty cool. So these are some Sith designs that he did. Yeah, it's interesting when I think of Ian McCaig, another artist comes to mind, and not because they have similarities, but I kind of discover them at the same time. But it's Craig Mullins. So Craig Mullins is another concept artist that does more environmental type things. But yeah, I kind of discovered them both around the same time, probably early 2000s, late 90s, and just was like blown away by both of them. This is cool. It's not all Star Wars, to be clear. This is just a chapter of Star Wars that we happen to hit first, but there's a bunch of other stuff. This is nice. He generally, well, I mean, I don't want to. He normally does a lot of stuff traditionally. I mean, he can clearly work digitally, but he's a great traditional artist. His pencil drawings are just awesome. Again, there's just he really has the stretch and squish thing down, and so when he draws poses, even faces and stuff like that, he's always pulling and pushing things and kind of massaging things into just slightly more exciting poses, slightly more dynamic facial expressions, and always just kind of gives it that little extra bit of life. It's kind of in an interesting way, although they're not that similar. Drew Struzan kind of does that with caricatures, or whatever you want to call, like when he does portraits. Drew kind of like can take a photo and sort of make it better. Ian draws a lot out of his head, although he does sometimes use reference. This looks like Alfred E. Newman. That's really weird. But Ian is has very strong creative artist skills, and when I say creative artist, generally what I mean is that he can draw out of his head really well. On top of the fact that he can use reference like a badass. So this is great. He even makes the Gungans look cool. I thought this was awesome. I love the colors on this. But yeah, hopefully everyone's been good. It was frustrating not being able to do videos for a while. My sound drivers took a shit on me, and it was really, really difficult to find replacements that were compatible with my computer. And man, it just ended up being a nightmare. I finally got it all fixed, though. I kind of did a remodel on my office or studio. And while I was like, as I started putting everything back together, I was like, well, I might as well take advantage of the situation. These are great. You know, it's interesting. I was going to say this. I actually shot a version of this video a couple of days ago, and I ended up scrapping it. It was about 30. It might have been 45 minutes long. I just didn't really like it, so I decided that I would just wait a couple of days and come back and do it. But a lot of people, when they see my art, like my comic book art, depending on what they're seeing me draw, not necessarily Crystal Planet, but if I'm drawing like my own stuff, people will say that they see Silvestri in my stuff. Honestly, I really believe what they're seeing is they're seeing IAIN MCCAIG more. They just don't realize it and wouldn't put that together. But I'm not kidding when I say that, like, when I very, very first started penciling and taking on, like, learning to draw seriously, IAIN MCCAIG was a top influence or inspiration, whatever you want to call it, for me. And I mean, you can kind of see where he and Mark might have some similarities in some ways, but you know, he just draws. You think so too, kid? You see it? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. She sees the similarities, but yeah, the girls, how pretty they are, kind of the eyebrows and stuff like that, the mouths, all that stuff. It's good. So this is the cover of the book. I know, Kitty. It's exciting. We're back on YouTube. This is going to be the best Monday ever, right? These are great. He has a series of Noman DVDs that I own that are, I mean, you could actually get a subscription to Noman, and they're probably still streaming on their channel, but I actually own the DVDs. But they're really, really good, and he basically takes a fairy tale and then turns it into basically like concept art, and it's really, really interesting. But man, he just draws everything so good. Monsters, heroes, female protagonists, whatever it is, villains, it's all awesome. Look how good this is. This dinosaur with the top hat is one of the narrators in this book. When you get it, if you should definitely get it, honestly. It's a pretty interesting read. Oh, these are cool. These remind me a little bit of like Brian Froud. It was funny as my grandpa had these books when I was a kid. I kind of grew up with my grandparents. It was an illustrated book about dwarves, and it kind of reminded me of Brian Froud. I can't remember who the artist is on that book, but similar to this style. But I remember really liking the art as like a little kid before I really was into art, any kind of serious thing. But I've always had kind of an interest in art. But I'm a big Brian Froud fan. In fact, it's funny that I've never done a video on Froud, but I don't even know, is Brian Froud still alive? He's great. I actually have at least one book of his stuff, maybe two, but I should do a video on Brian Froud. In fact, I might do that tomorrow. These cats are great. Yeah, like Ian's just, it's like he's an illustrator. It's almost got like Disney-esque qualities. He's a badass concept artist. He can really draw some pretty serious stuff too. Really, really nice gestures. Oh, it's so good. Like, I'd read a comic book about this guy. Looks pretty cool. Oh, and make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'm not kidding when I say that I'm going to start firing off art almost daily. I might not do it today, but starting tomorrow, I'm going to be posting art on a very, very consistent basis, new art. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm like, it's go time. This is my face. It's go time, Rich. I know it's go time. Fucking computer. It's driving me crazy. It sucks, too, when you're... have a personality type like me, because I won't let it go. Like, I'm either gonna fix it, and if it can't be fixed, then I would have bought a new one. But I was nearly sure I could fix it, because the computer itself wasn't having problems. It was just the drivers, is my belief. Man, this is great. any of these characters would make cool like comic book characters. So this is development art for Terry Wendling's Borderland pencils. Man, his pencils are great too. Oh, you know, I actually had a guy, Rich Crillo, I think was his name, send me an email, and he actually worked with Neil Adams, and he said that Neil only used one pencil. I'll follow up with what pencil it is, but it just occurred to me. But I meant to get that into a video. But yeah, so apparently Neil Adams did only use one pencil, and just the different ways that he would handle it would get different lines. McCaig's pencils aren't as like they don't. Neil will get very thin lines and almost look like a mechanical pencil, and then this real scribbly, like heavier stuff. But this is like a Rockwell thing. That's funny. That's so weird. I actually was considering doing a Norman Rockwell video this week too. That's a very weird coincidence. I was literally looking at Rockwell, waiting to shoot this video. That's funny. That is a weird coincidence. Alice in Wonderland. These are great. We'll go a couple more minutes. I don't really want this to go too long. I mean, just the engagement on long videos, just it's not. It just isn't. It isn't what people want to see. I know that there's some that do. I mean, you know, I do the weekly like long videos, but in general, nobody's attention span is that long anymore. These are very Froud influence. This is early work from Ian. And I think you can definitely see that old kind of book illustration. John Bauer. Kay Nielsen. There's a bunch of different. So this is Jethro Tull album cover. What? I don't know Jethro Tull's catalog very good, but that's crazy. So interesting. Oh well, hold on. I'm confused. Did Ian? So it says. It looks like he did it when I wrote. Oh, I get it. He wanted to include it in a thing. Wow, that's crazy. So he did Jethro Tull album cover. Oh, look at this. Yeah, see, I mean, I can kind of see similarities to Struzan. These are really early. These are Ian McCaig when he's probably in his late teens or early 20s. And he has one chapter of the book that's sort of dedicated to that. He's real good. I mean, when you're that young and you can draw like this, great things will definitely come to you. This is some badass shit. I mean, he's got full command already of value, animal anatomy, human anatomy, being able to paint. I mean, he's hitting like every checkbox at a pretty high level for so early in his career. These are early pieces too. It's actually a nice way to end the video, although it's like slightly depressing too. Let's see a little bit like this is like flatter than some of the stuff that he ended up doing. But yeah, sometimes seeing people's early work can be a little bit encouraging. It can also work the other way too, where it's like you're like, damn, did this guy ever have issues drawing? His signature was even crazy back then. This looks like it could have been published by White Wolf in like the 80s or something. It's like, yeah, that's crazy. What a talented and good artist this guy's. I love this. It's funny because the light coming from his fingertips is like, it's funny. It's so before Photoshop and things like the Dodge tool and whatnot. But man, he really almost gets like, you run a filter on this, it would look like it was done in Photoshop almost, like median or something, just to smooth it out. But yeah, the brightness on those fingers is like, that's a hot color. Oh, this is cool too. It's funny because I've seen these pieces before, but they still feel very fresh to me just because of I don't see them as often. But man, it's crazy that this guy was doing this at such a young age. Look at the owl. Man, it's so badass. Oh my god. Look at this. Dude. I'm trying to think. Struzan was definitely doing movie posters at this time. Wonder if Struzan was aware of Ian back then. I mean, because I didn't hear about him until the Star Wars, the Art of Star Wars books was my first exposure to him. What deadlines? Okay, so we'll do just a couple more. So this is a self-portrait of Ian, actually. And this is really cool. Would actually be interesting to ink him. You could do some really cool stuff with all this gray. Render it up in a lot of different ways depending on how you wanted to go for it. So we'll do like 3 more and then I'm going to wrap this up. Three like kind of, this is pretty cool. Yeah, so the kind of story with the book is a writer is in contact with Ian and he's flies to meet Ian. And when Ian meets him, he basically invites him into his world. But his world is actually, you are traveling into his art. And then he sort of takes you on a guided tour of like his mind and art and this surreal fantasy world. Where he introduces you to all these characters and stuff. It's pretty wild. That's Ian too. That's him too. Oh, so these are some of the Noman pieces. She's a space mermaid. Yeah, it's based on Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid. And this is her father. Her father's huge. This guy's gigantic. Like she's about the size of like one of his fingers compared to him. So it's pretty. Oh, there's no. I was gonna say is that her right there? But yeah, he's got like a bunch of daughters, but they're all super small compared to him. So it's one of the monsters, I think. Space Witch. And then this is the astronaut that meets the mermaid, and I think they fall in love, if I'm not mistaken. It was crazy. I know Scott Williams and I had talked about this before, but when you watch these DVDs of Ian, I'll end it on this piece, and I'll share this story. It's crazy because he was drawing. I think I'm pretty sure it was on paper. He colored this stuff digitally, but I believe that the drawings were actually in pencil. He would erase drawings that were so good and then draw something and improve on it. And he would just do it over and over again when you're watching the DVD. And it was so funny because Scott brought it up too. I was like, I know. It's like he would get a drawing down and it would be so kick-ass. And then he would erase it. And you go, dude, like, oh, man. Like, I've seen people do that at Comic-Cons where they're doing a commission for someone. And they've got something really cool going on. And they keep working on it. And the piece gets, like, worse and worse as they do more stuff to it. And with Ian, it was kind of the opposite, which was, like, he would erase it and do it better. And then he would erase it and do it better. And you were like, oh, my God. It's crazy. So, all right, you guys have a good day. You know, like I said, I'm totally back. So, I don't know if I'll be doing as many videos as I was a few weeks ago. It was a little bit probably overkill, and I think it's difficult for people to keep up with that pace. But there'll be plenty of videos, trust me. And again, follow me on Instagram, and you can start to see a bunch of art. And have a great day. And I've got a bunch of lessons and reviews to do for Patreon this morning. So I'm going to get on that and then get drawing. All right, later.